20th, Madison, come back to life. Hopefully you're okay. See, from there, blah, blah, covered that. No tie game, outsiders test we'll talk about in a moment. Discussion survey turn in. I thought I'd taken off all the different things from there. Let's see, which one did we go with? Was it 3 we went with? No.
No, it was 2.
2? There we go.
Can we keep talking about this topic?
One, I did enjoy the conversation. I appreciated it, and I am planning on doing more moving forward. They seem to be working pretty well. Even with Mr. Butts sitting in here for your guys' little conversation-y thing, and I get to talk to him and see what he thinks about it. Hopefully that gives me the chance to do more of these as we move forward from there. Other than that, hopefully you didn't hate them.
3 times a week.
Might be a little much.
5 times a week.
Nothing less than 6 times a week.
Yeah.
So, if you want help on tests, I have posted one of my old tests on there that you are more than welcome to take a look at. If you go to Monday where it says Outsiders Review Guide, it's one that I used to use, I don't know, like 7-8 years ago. So it's going to cover a lot of the same concepts. The one we're going to take tomorrow is definitely set up differently. But if you want to take a look at it, you're more than welcome to. I don't have answers to give you, but you can look at the questions. I'm looking at around 30 questions. I am going to put 2 grammar questions on there because they're going to come from the adjective and adverbs. I figured you've done practice, so they should be easy questions. And then it should be between 50 and 60 points as I do like little last minute changes today and maybe tomorrow morning. Questions as far as test goes I can help you with? 30.
So that only has 20. That means you're gonna.
No, that's only one side of it. There's 2 sides to it. On that one, the example one, I think it was like 50 or 60 questions. So, yeah, I just only took a picture of the front page. All right.
You're getting big.
Then back to Outsiders. I had another picture that was sent to me that was found. Hopefully you guys like these pictures slightly.
See if I Mickey Mouse.
entertainingly. Like Mickey Mouse.
Because 2-bit actually loves Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, in the books, 2-bit talks about Mickey Mouse, I think. Is
I
that?
thought that was the name of a horse.
That was the name of the horse, wasn't it, too?
And that wasn't his horse.
It was not his, it was Soda Pop's horse. And they even put Soda Pop and Dairy, whoever drew it, with the name tags from the gas station that they
That's
work
Steve,
in.
not
From
Danny.
Did I say that's Dally? Steve, sorry. That's Dally. Steve and Soda Pop were the 2 that, they have them looking really similar there. Actually, most of them look pretty similar, except for they gave 2-bit a faux hawk, which I don't think was real popular then. That's all right. And Pony Boy should definitely have blonder hair. I don't know. Interesting. Anyway, thought it was entertaining. So now that we've finished Bookie, you can spoil it all you want. I think it should be good to go from there.
Do you know that Dally dies?
What? He does? Oh no! Oh wait, it's right there. So the death of Dally Winston. We covered that with you guys. Do we have any other questions as far as dead little Dally goes?
No.
Why did Pony
I'm
Boy
actually
die?
glad he did die.
Why did Pony Boy die?
Why did Pony Boy die?
Yeah.
Because those aliens came down and he picked a fight with them.
And then Bart Simpson's like 4-headed like interfered.
I was so mad that guy has like a 9-head.
I know.
What's up, Miriam?
He crumbles.
He does crumble.
In Fortnite terms, the meteor comes down and breaks Jonesy. And Jonesy dies and gets sent to the Ultra Universe.
Yes, but why would that not make perfect sense? So we covered this, you guys already. We covered the sickness of all those bad things and his brain shutting down. We actually got to read this one when Randy comes to visit Pony Boy again, and they get to have a little bonding thing. And then, why is it that Pony Boy thinks that Johnny did not kill Bob?
Because Johnny's mentally ill.
Right, Johnny's not dead, and that's how he copes with things. He tries to find his happy place. The court that he goes to court for. What does Pony Boy thinks the court hearing is about?
Sending him to a boy's home.
No.
Killing Bob.
He thinks it is a murder trial for someone killing Bob. What is the trial about?
Getting sent to a boy's home.
Yeah, it's all about whether Derry gets to continue being their custodian or guardian or however you look at it. And so that's why they're there. And that's why it gets real confusing because Pony Boy keeps trying to talk about the murder and the judge is like, I'm not asking about the murder. He was like, how good of a person is Derry. He's like, Derry's great. I killed Bob. And the judge is like, well, you're a weird little child. He's like, I'm a weird child. I killed Bob. And he's like, you are not helping your. And so that was why he keeps going back to it. And eventually he keeps saying, you know, there's directions on the table that'll help you.
Yeah, I know, but it won't go.
Well, it's because you haven't done the first step of the directions.
You have to pull it out.
No, that's.
Yeah, that would be step one. Man, I should have directions there.
You should.
So that's why
Oh, I
Pony
didn't see
Boy
that.
gets all confused and upset. And what does the judge decide?
They keep
That they get to stay together because apparently Gary did a really good job. It was just that the socias.
It wasn't sharpening my pencil.
It's fine. Now, Picky, just so you are aware, you have spent 9 points this week. Just to keep you on the loop of things.
That's better. That's better. This one's better.
You should have said you're like 20 minutes in the class.
Well, because it was having to borrow a book, and then the homework thing, and then the laughing thing, and each one cost 3, and then after a while they started adding up and stuff like that. That's why I was trying to keep you in the loop. Things happen. So then we get to the last chapter, which was definitely the longer one. And from there, what is happening with Pony Boy at school now afterwards?
He's failing.
Read.
He's failing his English class.
Not just English.
Oh, except
Everything.
for math. Except for
And what's happening with him and his friends?
he's losing friends.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's been mentally ill.
And so that's where he's basically just tuning out. He just decides that he's no longer going to do school. Because when your home life sucks that much, who cares about school? And for Pony Boy, he's like, my home life sucks, so I'm no longer going to care about school. That's why he stops sort of caring about all of that stuff. So cover that one then. So this is when he does talk to his English teacher, because apparently he's failing the English class, and the teacher tries to be nice to him. So what is it he's supposed to write about with essay?
Something that's happened in his life.
Close.
Personal experience.
Getting closer.
Killing people.
Yes. Talk about the time. No. He's supposed to write about something that was a thing in your life that was important to you in some way. And that's when he was important to you is the big part. He's like, I could talk about going to the zoo. And then he realizes he does have something that's important to him, because what was important to him? Johnny, and in fact his best friend died. So there's a couple scenes I want to hit with you. Well, not hit
But
you.
Johnny isn't dead.
Some of you I do want to hit, but that's not what I was going with. You're right, Johnny's not dead, because who killed Bob?
Johnny.
Pony Boy.
There you go. I almost wore my I Killed Bob shirt, but I decided to save that one. So, I know, just a kid made it for me. It's just red and it has big drippy blood letters, and it says I Killed Bob. Because it's one of my entertaining scenes when he gets in that argument. He was like, I killed Bob! And apparently I had a group of kids one year that got all excited, and they started just going around yelling, I killed Bob! I killed Bob!
Do you have any Among Us?
You might not know this, but sometimes kids are weird.
Mr. Brovicast, I don't know.
Yes.
Do you have a Steve shirt?
I have this shirt that lists all of the greasers on it, but not one that just is about Steve, no. So,
Do you have one? I mean, do you have one like your favorite character? I don't know his name.
Jerry.
Jerry.
I do not have a
I'll
Jerry
make sure
shirt.
it says Jerry is
Jerry is. These little Pooh Bears, what he is. So, bottom of page 170 going into 171. This was the scene where Pony Boy runs into the Socias again when he was hanging out with Steve and I think Two-Bit. Yeah. Where it says, I was sitting on the fender of Steve's car, smoking and drinking a Pepsi, while he and Two-Bit were inside talking to some girls. The car drove up and 3 Socias got out. I just sat there and looked at them and took another swallow of the Pepsi. I wasn't scared. It was the oddest feeling in the world. I didn't feel anything. Scared, mad, anything. Just zero. You're the guy that killed Bob Sheldon, one of them said. He was a friend of ours. We don't like nobody killing our friends, especially greasers. Big deal. I busted the end of my bottle and held on to the neck and tossed away my cigarette. You get back in your car, you'll get split. They looked kind of surprised, and one of them backed up. I mean it. I hopped off the car. I've had about all I can take from you guys. I started toward them, holding the bottle the way Tim Shepard holds a switch, out and away from myself in a loose but firm hold. I guess they knew I meant business because they got into their car and drove off. You really would have used that bottle, wouldn't you? Two-Bit had been watching from the store doorway. Steve and me were backing you, but I guess we didn't need to. You'd have really cut them up, huh? I guess so, I said with a sigh. I didn't see what Two-Bit was sweating about. Anyone else would have done the same thing, and Two-Bit wouldn't have thought about it twice. So, one of the reasons why I like this scene is, how is that different from the beginning of book?
Because at the beginning when Two-Bit handed Ponyboy the bottle, he didn't do anything.
And that was the big change. The very beginning of it, when Two-Bit's like, here you go, and he was like, and he like holds it. He's like, I can't like stab somebody. He was like, ew. And now he's like, bring it. He's like, I'll cut a fool. And so they're like, oh, so now you have this difference. And Ponyboy, where all of a sudden he's realized that to get through a hard life, you sort of have to be dead and emotionless on the inside. And that's where we're seeing him happen, is that he's sort of getting rid of all of his emotions so that he can be cold. It seems like there's another character we knew earlier who got rid of all their emotions to try and live through things. Didn't work well. Ponyboy, listen, because there's one more part about this I like. Don't get tough. You're not like the rest of us. Don't try to be. What's the matter with Two-Bit? I knew as well as he did that if you got tough, you didn't get hurt. You get smart, and nothing can touch you. What in the world are you doing? Two-Bit's voice broke into my thoughts. I looked up at him. What, picking up the glass? He stared at me for a second, then grinned. You little son of a gun, he said in a relieved voice. I didn't know what he was talking about, so I just went on picking up the glass from the bottle end and put it in a trash can. I didn't want anyone to get a flat tire. So what does that show us about him? So yeah, it's that weird, he's in this weird spot where he's like, I'll stab a fool. Oh, is there glass on the ground? I want you to get a flat tire. And he goes and picks, and so he's still trying to give up emotions, but in his heart, Ponyboy's still a good person. And so usually when you have a thug who smashes a bottle to slit a fool, they don't then just pick up the glass, which is what he does. I'm like, he's still adorable. He is broken on the inside. They're still good in him. So, with Sandy, this scene, which I'm guessing you might not have picked up on. So, earlier, let's back up. Who is Sandy? Soda's girlfriend. And what happened to Sandy earlier in the book? She had to move. And that was this big scene when he came back from the hospital after the whole big fire. And he was like, hey, how are things going with Sandy? And they're like, well, we broke up and then she had to move and stuff like that. So we didn't officially cover it at that time. Did we cover why she left? So let me go back to that real quick, because that was a scene I'd meant to read and kind of skipped it with you. And what they did is they dropped a subtle hint on why she had to leave. Hang on. Dang it, now I gotta find it. No.
Her fish drowned. Her fish walked and she didn't realize.
Not let her marry Soda.
Yes. Dang it, now I'm not wrong. I usually have a little post-it note in here. Where's my post-it note for that one? No. Dang it, give me a second, try and find it. Work, I run, no. This is they're back from. Nope, they're back from the fight.
Are you eating the outsiders?
Sounds delicious.
Wait, who is?
What?
Is Alex reading the outsiders?
No. Eating the outside.
Eating, that's what I said.
Is it grandfather?
No, I give up. Alright, so as best as I can remember it, when he gets home and he talks to Soda, he's like, hey, are you going to go out with her? And he's like, nope, she was forced, or she was like, she had to move away. Her parents gave her a choice, either we had to get married or she had to move. At the time, this was a specific indicator that something happened. Anytime a teenage girl in high school was given the choice of getting married or having to move away, it was because something happened. Here's your hint. She's going to come back in about 9 months.
Dang.
9 months. Pregnancy.
She's pregnant. So that's why she had to leave, is we find out that she was pregnant and her parents gave her the choice. You either get married now because you're going to have his child, or you're going to leave, have the baby somewhere else, and then they would come back and then pretend like the baby was the parents' other daughter or child or something like that. So that's why Soda's all upset, because she was forced to move away. But then we're going to find out on page 174 that there's even newer information that comes in.
It wasn't his.
Derby? What's that? Okay. So in 174, this is when they're talking again, and it goes, "It's the letter he wrote Sandy," Derry said without expression. "It was returned unopened." So that's what had been bugging Soda all afternoon, and I hadn't even bothered to find out. And while I was thinking about it, I realized that I'd never paid much attention to Soda's problems. Derry and I just took it for granted when he said he didn't have any. When Sandy went to Florida, it wasn't Soda, Pony Boy. He told me he loved her, but I guess she didn't love him like he thought she did, because it wasn't him. You don't have to draw me a picture. He wanted to marry her anyway, but she just left. So what did we find out about Sandy? So turns out it was not his kid. So his girlfriend apparently got pregnant with somebody else's child. And Soda Pop still offered to marry her and take care of the kid. And instead, she just dipped and left him. So that makes it even tougher on Soda Pop.
So in Fortnite terms, your teammate is
Whoa, I
knocked.
was just about to say that.
Your teammate is knocked, and then your teammate is knocked, and
In
then
Storm?
In Storm, yeah. But you don't like him. He's been like screaming in the mic, you know. Like,
And then the next round, instead of teaming up with him, you kick him and you team up with someone else.
No,
No, you
the rift
you
go
take-
and you let him die.
you take the rift. You go to Tilted. You don't get a reboot card. Then you kick him out of your party, so you can't hear him anymore.
Pretty extreme.
And then you lose the game, and he tries and he spam invites. No,
Technically,
no, you win the game, and then he spam invites.
Yeah, Mike
But
Soda
that
kinda
didn't happen to
bugged
us,
this
cause like,
Cause like,
yeah, we're like this.
And then Johnny, we finally have the bookie book, Gone with the Wind, and he finally opens up Gone with the Wind and finds out there was a letter from Johnny on the inside. And here we get to the very end of the book.
Oh yeah.
A slip of paper fell out on the floor. I picked it up. "Pony Boy, I asked the nurse to give you this book so you could finish it." It was Johnny's handwriting. I went on reading, almost hearing Johnny's quiet voice. "The doctor came in a while ago, but I knew anyway. I keep getting tireder and tireder. Listen, I don't mind dying now. It's worth it. It's worth saving those kids. Their lives are worth more than mine. They have more to live for. Some of their parents came by to thank me, and I know it was worth it. Tell Dally it's worth it. I'm just going to miss you guys. I've been thinking about it, and that poem, that guy that wrote it, he meant you're gold when you're a kid. Like green. When you're a kid, everything's new. Like dawn. It's just when you get used to everything that it's day. Like the way you dig sunsets, Pony. That's gold. Keep that way. It's a good way to be. I want you to tell Dally to look at one. He'll probably think you're crazy, but ask for me. I don't think he's ever really seen a sunset. Don't be so bugged over being a greaser. You still have a lot of time to make yourself be what you want. There's still lots of good in the world. Tell Dally, I don't think he knows. Your buddy, Johnny." And then, Alex,
Can you explain Clash of Clans
I
language?
cannot, not even try to begin. So that brings us to the very final thing, where Pony Boy then reaches out to his English teacher and calls him. Not a thing I recommend you doing with your English teacher. Instead, we'll say send a remind message. And at the very end, this is what it ends with. "Hey, Mr. Son, this is Pony Boy. That essay, how long can it be?" "Well, shouldn't be any less than 5 pages. He sounded a little surprised. I had forgotten it was late at night. "Can it be longer?" "Certainly, Pony Boy. It can be as long as you want it." "Thanks."
Hey, no.
I sat down and picked up my pen and thought for a minute, remembering a handsome dark boy with a reckless grin and a hot temper. Who's that?
Dally.
Bob.
What?
A tough, tow-headed boy with a cigarette in his mouth and a bitter grin on his hard face. Dally. Remembering, and this time it didn't hurt, a quiet, defeated-looking 16-year-old whose hair needed cutting badly and who had black eyes with a frightened expression to them. There you go. 1 week had taken all 3 of them, and I decided I could tell people, beginning with my English teacher. Now, I wondered for a long time how to start that essay, how to start writing about something that was important to me. I finally began like this, when I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house. I had only 2 things on my mind, Paul Newman and a ride home. And where have we heard that line before? So that was why when we first started the book, I made that big deal about Paul Newman and showed you guys the picture from Cars, because I wanted him to stick in your head hard enough that when you got to the very last line of the book, you'd be like, Paul Newman, I remember. And you have this whole circle. So what does Ponyboy write for his essay? And so The Outsiders becomes his essay about what it is that was important to him. Hi, Reed.
So in Fortnite terms, little Timmy asks his mom for 5 more games, at least 5 more games, and she says, yes, of course.
Works for me. And if you were not aware, if you did not read the thing that's at the very end of the book, S.E. Hinton stands for Susan Elaine Hinton. So the lady who wrote this was a girl. She actually wrote it when she was 16 years old and in high school.
What? Oh my
And
goodness.
so she wrote this because she got into a fight with her English teacher because she accused her English teacher of making the class read crappy books. And his response was, if you think the books I choose are so bad, why don't you write your own? So she went, done. And so she wrote a story about her friends. She is actually a character in the book, and she wrote it herself into it as one of them. She is Cherry. And so she, in her hometown, had 2 groups of friends, these really rich kids and these poor kids who kept getting into fights. And she was sort of between both of them. She was that kid that was friends with both sides, and she kept telling her friends, if you guys keep beating the crap out of each other, eventually one of you is going to die. And so she decided to write a story where eventually one of them dies because they keep going back and fighting. Correct. Well, more than one
So
dies.
this is
The idea-
actually
Leads
based
up
on
to-
3. Is this a...
And so it's all based on things that happened to her, and so these are all sort of based on that same idea. Jojo?
So like, she had a boyfriend named Bob who got stabbed and killed?
No.
Oh, well,
That part's not so true. Her being a cheerleader and her being friends with both groups, yes.
but
And then
also-
beating each other up, yes.
But also, Ponyboy's parents getting killed. That's true, right?
That I don't know. I've never found out how much of that she based on other things. I'm assuming there's a good chance she had a group of friends who probably lived very similarly to that, but I've never heard whether that part is actually based on somebody. So, in your opinion, as we finish this out, is Ponyboy a good person?
Yes.
Alright. So even though he smokes, even though he runs away, and even though he gets into fights and stuff like that, that's not enough to take him away from being a good person?
No.
Alright, that works for me.
Wait, so I'm still the person?
What if he were to lose points in class for packing up while the teacher was still talking, even though that would be a silly thing to do? Would that still qualify as a... So, on Friday of last week, one of the conversations I got into with classes was apparently some classes allow you to stand near the door as you get close to the end. And then other classes you can apparently start packing up 10 minutes before the end of class and sit there and talk. And the idea was trying to figure out the difference from one class to the next and stuff like that. For my class, 2 reasons I don't have you guys pack up. One, it's just, probably not something you think about, but it's rude. It's the same thing as if you were in the middle of a conversation and all of a sudden while you were talking, I just pulled out my phone and was like, what's your question? Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I'm listening to. It was just sitting on my phone. It just implies what you're doing is not important. I'm well aware you guys want to go to your next class. That's why I try to end and give you guys at least a minute to pack up. When you do it when I'm talking, it's just, there's that general rudeness thing. Does it bother me? Not really. It's just more of a trying to teach you guys to be polite and stuff like that. So that's more what I go for as opposed to just trying to break you. It's just trying to teach you. Plus, we still have plenty of time for me to talk. So when you guys start packing up, that's my assumption you think this is science, where you guys apparently stopped 10 minutes early or something like that, going off of the conversations I got to have on Friday, where I had my eyes opened as to how other classes go and how other teachers are and stuff like that. It was definitely entertaining. Hi, Reed.
Can we do another discussion in 3 minutes?
Possibly. Yeah?
So I'm assuming that you do not like Jacob and that you're Team Edward.
I did not put that up there. I actually am Team Jacob. And so wow, okay. I got into fight with a past advanced class, and so they ended up printing off that and asked if they could put it up there. And I said, fine, whatever.
Wait,
So,
where?
no, I'm very much Jacob over Edward
Wait.
because Edward's hundreds of years old, and I think it's only mildly creepy. He's dating a 17-year-old.
Okay, but he's
But
like.
I'm well aware of all the excuses that go into
Guys,
it.
what
So,
even is that?
Yeah,
It's a Twilight.
Twilight.
Don't
I
spoil
love
it.
He's like,
that's not spoiling.
it's not spoiling.
One day we ended earlier and you're like explaining something like that where you have to tell the truth if we ask you a question and then in the middle of explaining the bell wrong.
Yeah,
Can we do that?
eventually again. But I have more questions I wasn't done going through yet.
Okay.
Hi, Joey-O.
So like, I don't watch Twilight like that, but like, I've watched like a couple episodes. How do the vampires survive in the sun?
They don't. They sparkle.
They sparkle.
They don't go out in the sun. They go out at night.
But how do they go to school?
They don't.
Lights.
How does he go to school? I forget that part.
Umbrella.
Because he does go to school.
Sophia,
No, they, wait, what do you mean?
how does Edward go to school?
Why are you spoiling
Because
us?
they moved to Forks because it's raining.
That's what it is. Because
Oh,
they're
yeah,
in Washington
yeah.
State. So where it's always rainy all the time. I forgot. It's been a decade.
Would
since
you
I
mind
read
not spoiling that?
that. It's not
Really, you
spoiling.
don't even
It's
know.
not spoiling. Figure it out.
Maybe it is.
Nah. That one.
How does you can get magic by daylight?
That one.
Say blanket.
So this one I am curious about. Do you believe this book still connects to kids today?
No.
It burns the sun.
How so?
Because people
There's no
care about
killing.
people
Kids
care about
don't kill
people's
other kids.
richness.
What was that, Reed?
People don't care about people's wealth or the way that people live. They just like them because like their personality.
So you're saying the kids that are rich at school is not a thing that kids care about?
Not really.
It's actually kind of
Okay.
Yeah,
Story.
People look at it as bad
Also,
way.
I don't think there's anyone, I mean, I hope not, that reads this book and goes, I relate to this 100%. Like, I don't, I hope not.
Yes and no. The killing, no. The bad home life part, yes.
Okay.
I have a lot of kids who connect to the greasers because they feel like that is representation of their home life. The killing people, no. The bad, crappy
I relate to
parent
the
part,
killing people.
yes. And so even with the rich kid part, I have, at the end of the year, I tell stories about like my life and what made me who I am. And I start talking about like what shaped me. And
Football.
part of that is conversations about past students coming in to talk to me. And I have a lot more, not a lot more, but a lot more than I would have thought of well-off rich kids who have screwed up home lives more than poor kids. Because you would assume that they would have better home lives, but oftentimes they don't. Some of the most screwed up kids I've had in my classes come from very wealthy families. And so there's very much a connection to Bob and Brandy. Yeah.
Is it a tradition for you to talk about your football season on the last day of school?
You play football?
You played football?
Like actual.
Yeah, I was on the football team in 8th grade. It's
Oh.
a story I tell at the end of the year.
Noblesville, East or West?
Neither one. It was just Noblesville. It was way back in dinosaur times where we only had the one school that we
I
had.
was
Like
dinosaur
with
times.
pyramids, like
I'm actually vampire.
Alex,
Wait.
Oh, were you like? Did you help with the Great Pyramids of Giza? Like, did you help
so
with that?
is this a book that I should keep doing?
Yes.
Yes.
So hang on. You all just said it does not connect to life, but yeah, I should. So if you don't mind, so this is where for me, so I can know I'm doing things the right way. If it doesn't connect to life, why is it you so vociferously say to keep?
Because it's a good story.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it does connect to life, but no one here is going to say this because everyone here lives in like the suburbs in one of the richest counties. in
I'm
the
from
wealthiest
F-Town.
state.
All right, I can do that. Okay.
I live in F-Town. I just think the story is very fun and then.
Yeah.
It has a
So
lot.
entertaining.
It's like an everyone being makes it.
So even though it's not necessarily your lives, it's still an entertaining story to follow.
It gives awareness on how other people
F-Town.
react, so you're socially aware. It's not just you growing up and being snobby to everyone had the same thing.
I can dig that. All right, I'll roll with that. Callie,
There's death.
there is death. I will agree with that. All right.
Behind my house.
Storks.
Wait, it's the discussions. Like, I tried to read this by myself during the summertime and I despised it.
Really?
Yes.
So the discussions make a difference. Interesting.
Also, I
By the way,
don't know
you can
anything
now
about
pack up. I am glad the discussions help. So is it like being able to talk about like the 50s and 60s slang and stuff like that breaks it down and stuff? All right. Works. Ramos.
Oh, well, personally, this story does represent my whole life a lot. This is, I fight it.
Because your life is a mess?
Yeah, Yes, like
Dang,
that,
Al,
especially-
50 feet.
See you tomorrow. May your life be a good mess.